This is not a good thread for me to be lurking in. For every crazy story of ridiculous stag hen party 6, there's another couple dozen of boring stories where people just have a good time and nobody does anything stupid. I've been to 4 bachelor parties so far. No good stories befitting this thread. Not a traditional bachelor party, but upon going out for drinks with him, the groom spent an uncomfortable amount of time voicing very real, foundational concerns about the union, his then fiancée, their terrible money situation. It was about 2 months prior to the wedding, and, in his own words, he wouldn't call it off because people had already bought their tickets and stuff. It was all around depressing because, on the actual day, she seemed pretty happy and he just looked kinda flat, a look that seems to be a permanent fixture in his demeanor these days. I think he was just too polite to initially call it off when he realized he wasn't 100% into it. And then it progressed into cohabitation, engagement, marriage. I had sex with the bride-to-be and her best friend after her fiancé left. Simultaneously ashamed and proud. The bachelorette party was in a hotel room. And when the evening was winding down, the best friend and I went into our room, which was being shared by the bride since there were 2 beds. We were decently drunk and started going at it, and the bride was just watching us. Eventually she said she wanted to fool around with us, so I watched them for a bit, then joined in when the bride presented herself while going down on her friend. Definitely the hottest 6 of my life. Went to a friend's bachelor party as a DD. Everyone was very drunk. Groom decided to have sex with the best man in the middle of a public parking lot. This was when we realized he liked men. Needless to say, his now wife still doesn't know he likes to have sex with men. This happened a couple of years ago. Cousin was having his bachelor's party, but the guys got stuck with the kids so that the ladies could go crazy with their bachelorette party. So it was just pizza and Marvel movie marathon for the party. Next day I get a message saying that there will be a real bachelor party tonight to make up for getting stuck babysitting kids. This turns into a typical drink fest. Gambling. GFY frantic. etc. Cousin's friend then announces that he hired a stripper just as the doorbell rang. Turns out the stripper was my cousin's ex-GF of 3 years. So she starts doing her stripper routine, which was not that great. Clearly not a professional. She spends most of the time dancing for my cousin, which I could tell was a clear bet you wish you kept me. So she's finally done with her performance and goes to leave, but offers a more private performance for the groom. And since the groom had a few too many shots, he agrees and both head to the bathroom. All the while all the guys are hooting them on. 4 years later I see his ex at the grocery store with a little girl that looked to be 3 or 4 years old. I just turn around to avoid her seeing me. Head to the cashier. Grabbed my stuff. And just ran. I never dare tell him since he and his wife are in a happy relationship and trying to have a child together. Not a bachelor party but a golf tournament weekend with a bunch of people from our office. A girl I worked with just went wild. Got drunk and was giving lap dances. Flashing. Letting guys put money in her panties. etc. She later disappeared into the woods with 2 separate guys and was making out in a bar with another later in the evening. I had known her for a few years and had never seen any inclination for that type of behavior out of her. Monday at work I talked with her and she was beside herself with guilt. I didn't tell her husband or anyone else about the weekend. Pretty sure her marriage would have been over if he had found out about it at the time. But this was at least 13-14 years ago. I think the only thing that saved her was that this was before the time of Snapchat, Twitter, etc. No way her behavior wouldn't have been documented today. I know of a couple that are together because the girl got pregnant. I also know who the father is, hint, not the person she married. The guy who was the father was there at her version of a bachelorette party. He was her best friend, so he threw her a private party, like 5 of us. I was there for the first little bit as a close friend. But things heated up, so I got the hint and bounced. In New Orleans our bachelor group found a bachelorette group and started talking, dancing, etc. It was late in the night at this time, and our bachelor was dancing with their bachelorette mostly at the urging of the bridesmaids because they thought it would be cute. Not too long into it he gets belligerently handsy and heads a bit up the skirt. I didn't see the act but spun around when one of the bridesmaids hollered, "Your bachelor just fingered our bachelorette." We bounced immediately. It's not a dirty one. Just amusing. Counting back how old we were. 27 years ago a friend was getting married. We'd already had the stag party the last weekend. He wanted another one midweek and so we all went out. In a town in any UK. He got utterly legless. We weren't much better. So legless he was pretty much passed out and we were carrying him. And then the incident happened. We were by the docks. Where the cheap hookers are. And not to put too fine a point on it, some transactions were being negotiated. The groom-to-be was still utterly legless and now acting as a big dig block. So we dumped him on a barge. The rest of the night went pretty well, thanks for asking. Groom wakes up the next day. In the middle of the North Sea en route to Rotterdam. Olivia went utterly nuts. He did get back in time for those curious. She never forgave though. Marriage didn't last that long either. And we were mostly banned from inviting him out to do anything ever again. Fond memories. I had a bachelor party in Las Vegas. It was amazing, everyone had a great time. Except I was never engaged. My buddy made up the story so he could go to Vegas and bang hookers. I was filled in about 10 minutes before we sat down to a dinner his wife was attending. I've been to one bachelor party, my brother's. It was 3 guys, the groom, the best man, and me, sitting around a campfire shooting the sheet and drinking whiskey. Of course. The wedding was put together in less than a week. So obviously there wasn't time to plan anything extravagant. Before you ask. No. It wasn't a shotgun wedding. The bride was diagnosed with terminal cancer. Not only did she want to experience a wedding while she could, they wanted to make sure he was her next of kin before the inevitable. Good thing they did. 2. Her parents tried to go against her wishes in pretty much every way possible. For instance, she insisted on no viewing and being cremated. Because she wanted people to remember her how she was when she was healthy. Her parents demanded an open casket. My brother told them in no uncertain terms to duck themselves. Secrets are no fun. Secrets hurt someone. Right around the time my brother-in-law-to-be was drunk enough to get maudlin, his friends and I duct taped him to a tree. Specifically, the tree he'd be getting married under about 16 hours later. I will definitely not be having my bachelor party the night before the wedding. I've been to 5 of my friends' bachelor parties and nothing happened that couldn't have been repeated to the bride. Then again, I'm exclusively friends with decent people. So that's probably the issue. Not exactly an answer to the question. But I was on a bachelor party that ended horribly when his fiancée learned he had been cheating on her for the entire first half of their relationship. She called off the marriage over the phone with him while we were all getting drunk at a bar. Mood went from light-hearted to catastrophic in an instant. And none of his friends knew about it, so consoling him was really hard. Since he was so clearly in the wrong. Bachelor drunk texted his ex when the party started winding down. Got back to where we were staying and he ended up sexting with her for hours. Sending pictures and all that shit. Apparently it happened a few more times after the wedding. 2. That's not when things get wild, it's more likely to be an after-work gathering with other employees and alcohol. I was part of a bachelor party that was strip club hopping in Vegas. The bachelor went back for a private dance. The club has these little rooms with really small beds for private dances. We suddenly see the stripper holding her outfit pressed against her chest, running to the behind the stage area while a large bouncer is escorting the bachelor out. At the same time, another club employee informed us that the bachelor had to leave. We could stay if we wanted to, but he had to leave. Of course we all left, but he would not tell us any details of what happened. I still talk to the guy and to this day he won't say a word on what went on back there. We all have our theories. Was invited to a bachelor party once. We played so much Smash Bros and ate so much pizza I don't know how he made it to the wedding in the morning. My god. I don't know if the marriage would survive if the bride found out how much we drank. It must have been at least half a gallon of soda. Buddy of mine blow me and a couple other dudes after a bachelor party went on too long. Good dude, still friends today. He's dead if his wife ever finds out. My friend screwed a stripper at his bachelor party. We bought him a lap dance and he disappeared for about an hour. Apparently he paid a little extra and had some more fun. A good friend of mine made out with a groom on his stag party in Nick all the way from Ireland. He wanted to come all the way back with us. I feel bad for his bride. She didn't know he was on his stag party until about 15 minutes into the making out. I'm not sure if this counts. Was in a very dark time in my life and I was drowning my sorrows at a bar. I was alone. Physically and emotionally ripped apart. Addicted to drugs. Drunk. Sobbing my eyes out and completely out of my mind. When the girl next to me strikes up some convo. Asks me if I want to smoke some weed out in her car. Obviously, I did. We went out to her car and the next thing I knew this girl's tongue was down my throat and she was on top of me. I went with it. And things got steamy really fast. And suddenly we were interrupted by violent pounding on her windows and her doors flying open. Hands pulling her off of me. It was 6 of her friends. Her ducking best friends. Her ducking wedding party. And I was making out with the bride. They dragged her away and I never saw her again. Even though I'm pretty sure I'd never remember anyway. And oh yeah, I'm a girl. Just a saw that a bachelorette party can lie somewhere between the extremes of bowling alley plus Wendy's vs hooking up with strippers. Believe it or not, you can have an appropriate amount of fun and crazy without ruining the marriage. My now wife and I had our respective bachelorette parties in Vegas. And we both had a great time. She went to a couple day clubs with her girls and also went to Chippendales. Got blackout drunk with her best friend taking care of her. And they have some hilarious stories from their adventures. My groomsmen and I balled out. One of my close friends is rich and got us tables. I got a couple of my groomsmen laid. And someone almost got arrested for public urination. Great fun. But nothing I wouldn't joke about with my better half. Obviously, if you don't trust the other person to party without cheating on you, don't let them do that. But then at that point maybe reevaluate your decision to marry them. Just trying to provide some perspective here for anyone panicking after reading some of the stories. One time at a bachelorette party I found out that the bride was a les and didn't want to get married. But she was doing it because her parents liked her fiance and they were really good friends. So she thought the marriage would be okay. I don't know if she ever told her husband about that. But they did end up divorcing later. My ex-girlfriend said she ducked a whole bachelor party in Vegas a few years ago. She also said that there was video somewhere that one of the guys took. She is half Japanese and half Filipina. About 5 feet tall. And skinny yet fit and was wearing a blue dress for you Reddit detectives that want to try to find it. Full stop. First bachelor party when I was 18 and worked in a summer role at a petroleum engineering company. My colleagues were all young engineers in their 20s earning the big bucks. We went to the house where the party was and was handed a drink and a door prize number. We went down the stairs into the basement. And the first room had the groom tied to a chair with a drip of some rum drink going into his mouth. The TV had VHS porn on it. This was back then. In came strippers, which proceeded to use their breasts to paint all the participants. After a while, some of the girls left, while the others did the traditional groom tied to a chair and having a lap dance process. Turns out the door prize was one of the strippers. I assumed that all bachelor parties would be similar. I can say, now, 35 years later, no. I got really drunk with the groom and I was the best man. We slept together that night. No sex. We just cuddled. Nothing like a bro cuddle. No homo. With the exception of myself and my brother-in-law. Everyone in the groomsmen party for my sister's wedding cheated on their spouse significant other. Every one of them. Super late to this thread. But the party was up in Montreal. The groom really went all in. Between happy ending massages and banging 2 hookers same time, he was really excited about that one. I'd say he cheated in every way possible. In his mind he was entitled to do it all before he got married. One of the groomsmen brought the pitching machine to the wedding. Not an actual pitching machine, but a stripper that shoots ping pong gonads out of her snatch that was at the bachelor party. My older sister hosted a bachelorette party at her house. Later we found out 2 of the future bride's friends gave the male stripper a BJ. One of the girls who attended the party was my friend and told me several weeks after it happened. There was that video recently going around on Facebook about a bride-to-be who ducked a stripper at her bachelorette party while all her friends watched. The guy saw it and ended it. My friend's brother had a bachelor party before I was old enough to attend. I was probably 15. I asked my friend's dad what happened and all I was told was that it involved a hat and a plum. I've been curious ever since. I watched a dude and his best man duck a couple of strippers with strap-ons in front of the whole bachelor party at a bar. I imagine his bride wouldn't appreciate that.